Welcome back to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network. Well, we have a special program actually. Today, we're talking about profiles and excellence. We're specifically going over major accomplishments this year. Chris, I'm going to throw it over to you at BMC Software. You are striped across the entire federal agency, actually the private sector as well. Give us an example of something you'd like to highlight in regards to major accomplishments for this year.
Absolutely, Luke, and thank you for being here. It's been an honor to be amongst this panel, hearing about some of the fantastic stuff these organizations have been
really
doing.
Awesome, isn't it?
Really, truly, and especially around the work with Afghanistan, that's close to my heart. I had a deployment there 2013, 2014, back as recently as 2018, and getting my interpreters back and getting my my peers out safely has been a remarkable effort. So thank you, everyone, for your efforts there. And from a BMC perspective, it's been a transformational year. We actually concluded our largest acquisition in our 40-year history of CompuWare. And if you're not familiar with them, they bring enterprise DevOps capabilities to bear that we now can support from mobile to mainframe. And this is a really big deal because we still rely pretty heavily on the mainframe. As much as we have these powerful cloud initiatives and as important as they are, we can't allow the mainframe, which still exists in our system, to be what's holding us back from making these transformations and being agile. So the CompuWare team really brought that capability there, as well as this customer-centric focus that really allows us to work really closely with our peers from the finance industry to the federal agencies and everyone in between. That allows us to make sure that we're producing software quickly and effectively that solves the problems not just of today, but of the next 40 years as well. And so this has been a really big deal for us and a pretty major accomplishment. The other thing we've been working on is our own SaaS first initiative. We've been doing ITSM for a long time. And part of what's interesting of having a 40-year history is people might see of your software back in 2012 and think that's the software that you're still offering today. But when we take a look at what we did with BMC Helix, we didn't just take our monolithic software base that was on-prem, hosted in AWS, put a new face on it and say, look, we innovated. We re-architected this from the ground up using modern microservice technology that allows us to really derive all the benefits of the cloud from scalability, reliability, and security. And so this is really a new piece of technology that we bring that allows us to compete across the board and allows us to be that ITSM vendor going forward over the next 40 years. And this success here, we've got IL4 certification, we're FedRAMP moderate, and we've really been able to move a lot of the federal agencies already today to the cloud, as well as, again, our large consumer base in the heavily regulated industries like insurance, like in finance. And we've been rewarded quite well with this. Even Gartner has selected us now as a leader for this ITSM. And so it's a big area that we're continuing to grow, continuing to invest in heavily, and a major focus area for us.
Really do appreciate it. I don't think folks could really appreciate the lineage there of this company and what you've done for the entire ecosystem. So thank you for that. We're going to go to priorities. I'm going to start with you, Raj. Top priority for the U.S. Army going forward.
Yeah, so for 2022, obviously we want to keep the same balance between supporting our users in the remote, on the remote workforce, because we fully expect, I think, as all the other speakers said, that 2022 and probably beyond will continue to be us working in some kind of a hybrid remote work environment. I think it is here to stay. I think, we have 2021 has broken all kind of orthodoxies on, productivity of the government workforce in a remote environment. Any middle manager that thinks that, hey, they can get work done from the remote workforce, somebody working from home is now lying to you, right? So it's here to stay. And so what that means is we need to continue to focus on giving our users the tools and the capabilities they need to continue to be productive, in this kind of hybrid workforce environment. So some of the things we're looking at are initially, when we went remote, we actually gave our users a lot of capabilities around bringing their own personal devices, BYOD, and actually, a broader suite of collaboration tools. However, what we found last year was we got to balance that against cybersecurity risks. And it was very clear that our adversaries had found a new attack vector with our employees working from homes, and so we had to actually take a step back, and so I came under a lot of criticism for taking away some of the tools that our users had initially. But it was absolutely critical that we protect our network and the data on our network in a zero trust environment. So this year is going to be us maturing some of those technologies, getting to a virtual desktop environment for our users, more BYOD solutions, but all of this now in a fully accredited environment, doing a lot of red teaming and things like that to make sure that the solutions that we're procuring are absolutely safe and secure. So that's one. The second, on the mission side, is going to be continuing to scale our cloud, but this time it's going to be in tactical environments. And so as we are getting ready to increase our infrastructure and our footprint in areas like Guam, for example, and you've seen that as a key priority coming out of the strategy, the DoD strategy, and some of the risks, in the South Pacific. What we found was our infrastructure, our networks were extremely stretched in that contested environment in South Pacific. So we're now extending our cloud environment, and by the way, that includes the network. Whether that's 5G or whether it's through commercial SATCOM. Working with companies like SpaceX, is how do we get those kinds of capabilities out rapidly, and leveraging those commercial capabilities. So that's a priority in the South Pacific, and then likewise in Eastern Europe. As we establish more forward operating bases in Eastern Europe, is how can we be much more expeditionary. Because when our units move, we want to make sure that they can move, our technology can move at that speed of war. And traditionally, how we acquire technology and how we have, tried to build it and own it ourselves is just not agile and fast enough to meet that requirement.
Sure.
So I think that's those are just a couple of things that we're focused on for 22. Obviously, putting all that in a zero trust environment is going to be absolutely critical.
Sure. And I really do appreciate a lot of focus at the Army. Sonny, top priority, number one priority for you this coming year.
Yeah, so I'd say, just making sure that we deploy things securely with our mission applications in service of capabilities that our agents and officers need in a remote environment while being secure. So we sort of deploy at the speed of mission is what we talk about. And so those capabilities are really important. Actually, there are 6 focus areas: mission applications, mission infrastructure, our trusted partnerships, our governance, cybersecurity, and business CIO, business operations. And what I mean by that is that, as Raj mentioned, we are also we're ahead of the cloud migration. We're already up at 45% of our goal. And so in 5 years, we want to get all of it done. And as you know, one of the largest civilian agencies, we have things that are processing 1 million passengers a day and processing more than that in cargo, double that, or in cargo, and then second largest collection agency. So all these things, and then making sure that everyone's coming in is secure. But when you do that, you got to make sure things are looking at not only tactical, which we're, I think, pretty excellent on, but strategic transformation. And I think, focus on the people. People have gone through a lot in COVID, in the age of COVID. How do we make sure that they can work remotely, and as Raj mentioned, while securely as well? So you got to give them the tools, but we also know the threat vectors and the supply chain vectors, including our industry partners, because they also have a threat, and we got to make sure that they can deliver software. But if they're remote, we got to see how that's coming in, as you know, what the adversary was doing on SolarWinds, for example, and there are many other examples that I think we can talk about. But I think making sure that these responsive needs are taken care of. But keep in mind that our agency also has taken, we took a 1.2 billion cut last year because of the shortfalls due to travel, and so as the collection fees are going down, we are having to be more effective and efficient. And I think supporting this faster and better mission delivery through our 6 focus areas, through trusted partnerships, is another big deal. We have not only included trusted partnerships within our own, CBP, but also across DHS, across government agencies, across all our industry partners, tens of thousands, by the way, all the 80 countries and Five Eye countries, so I think all of that is this teamwork. And lastly, I'll just say cutting edge technology, a lot of stuff we're preparing for 5G, a lot of robotic process automation. I've got something like 140 projects in that area, 40 in artificial intelligence and ML, NLP. So I think all of this stuff coming together, I think, is really what it is. But let's not all forget about the people. The people have gone through a lot. And I think having not only diversity, equity, and inclusion, but by the way, I must compliment that on this panel, you have quite a lot of that here. So, and I think that really is where you're seeing that American spirit come out, and you're seeing the spirit of the government worker come out. And
no doubt. And really do appreciate you highlighting the soft skills, the soft part of things. Super important, not just the speeds and feeds. Keith, number one priority at the State Department this year for you?
There's four focus areas, Luke, that I'm looking at. It's really around enabling enterprise technology in our workforce, and at the same time, really establishing a place within the IRM Bureau as a home for our technologists. I mean, we have individuals that they go out for years, and they really support regional bureaus here and there. And we want them to know that IRM is their home. And as we rebrand the organization, really becoming our workforce, really becoming customer obsessed, and really we have a restructuring plan in place to restructure a vintage 1990s foreign ops and operations directorate, really redoing that and making sure it's moving forward. And around governance as well, making sure that the IT investments across the department are really strategically aligned and delivering value with having the right recruitment and outreach of our resources. I think we have to eliminate barriers and power nimble diplomacy as we look to forward-leaning cloud solutions and mobile architectures. Then I'll say make enterprise cybersecurity foundational across the department's infrastructure, the systems, and part of its culture across our workforce. I think as we look at zero trust, establishing our zero trust roadmaps, efforts on cybersecurity sprints that we're doing, continuing our improvement around cyber hygiene and mitigating any vulnerabilities, that's really important. And lastly, I'll say leveraging emerging technologies and making diplomatic data really strategic, really an opportunity to move towards a lot of solid predictive analytics versus reacting on things and seeing trends that may have caused things, but really being proactive and being predictive around what we can anticipate in various areas.
I sense that the day of the digital diplomat is amongst us.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, congratulations. I really do appreciate that. Kevin, I'm getting this theme of sort of buttoning up the hatches here. Number one priority for Kevin Cox and the Department of Justice this year.
We have a number of modernization initiatives underway. We'll continue to support that, continue to support these very important mission areas. But returning back to what I had said in my earlier response, for us, our number one priority is the overall zero trust rollout. The three legs of that, which is the actual implementation of the build out of the zero trust architecture, building out that centralized identity provider, and then getting the endpoint detection and response in place. That's such a big initiative for us because it touches all parts of our network, all parts of our mission areas. And we have to be very careful, very diligent in terms of how we implement it, because we want to make sure we do not disrupt our important mission work. So that's going to be something that we lean in on, continue to focus on while we're continuing all of our other efforts with the modernization of many of our most important systems.
I love the laser focus there. Jonathan, number one priority for ServiceNow next year.
Well, it's supporting all of these really important initiatives we've talked about through a variety of technologies available on the ServiceNow platform. But, I think where I'm having most of my conversations these days is around our low-code capabilities. Obviously, COVID changed the way that we work. We've had to quickly digitize lots and lots of processes. Now we're seeing agencies want to make sure that they have the right processes in place, and they recognize the need to have a platform that supports the end-to-end digital workflows that are what people are used to working with at this present time. One of the places where we're doing quite a lot of this work is with Keith's team at the State Department. They've been real champions around low code, done some great work. This isn't your, and low code's a huge market. It's growing, tremendously, billions and millions of dollars a year. And we're very proud at ServiceNow of the platform that we've created in low code tools. They've been recognized by Gartner in the Magic Quadrant. They're in the Forrester Wave as a report as a key component. And the reality is agencies and organizations like need these kinds of capabilities. There just are not enough software developers available to build all the applications people need to work the way we want to work these days. So the biggest challenge that we have, we continue to have this kind of conversation with agencies, and we will into the next year, is how do you set up the right governance and guardrails so we can have delegated developers in the mission areas in the program, so they can build applications on a low-code platform like ServiceNow. They can meet their mission need. The CIO office isn't the bottleneck. I spent plenty of years as a CIO, and I took a lot of arrows for taking too long. Well, I want to give you tools in the program areas to build the applications you need to meet your mission. And we're doing that now. We're going to continue to do that. And I think that's going to be a heavy focus to build those mission workflows that Sunny was talking about and others over the course of the next year.
Fantastic. At citizen development becoming a really big deal, a big area of focus. Nick, how about at Pure Storage? Number one priority for you all this year?
So the focus for the next couple of years for us is expanding digital transformation through connectivity across platforms, transforming data service infrastructure to enable massive scale and performance while making the delivery of those services as autonomous as possible, from the core to the edge. So again, I talked earlier about the delivery of data everywhere where it's needed to enable our workforce, our decision makers, to work efficiently and effectively wherever they are. We're trying to change the thinking of customers and the industry from one of storage as a static function to one of dynamic data service. And that focus is not on banking the data, but leveraging it at the point of need seamlessly and securely, and of course, with tremendous performance. So this focus spans traditional workloads, as well as enabling the adoption of next generation operating frameworks, and particularly container data service and the cloud, artificial intelligence and machine learning. All of this is enabled by high performance data service, and the handmaiden to that kind of performance and convenience is making sure you do so securely. So we're also focusing tremendously on everything from the fundamental security of the data itself that we're storing, of the access to the systems, the integration into security frameworks, the certification and accreditation of those capabilities within the government context of SP 800-53, 800-171, updating our cryptography to support next generation cryptographic capabilities. All of these things are really mundane, routine, and oftentimes taken for granted. But in this day and age, especially with the nature and shape of attacks against systems, we've really spent a tremendous amount of effort in ensuring that we can help mitigate against those efforts and obviously recover from them as swiftly as possible. So those are our focus areas, essentially improving scale, sustainability, integration, speed, and security.
Sounds like the right ones, and we certainly do appreciate everything that you all are doing, Pure Storage, for the entire ecosystem. Chris, take us home. BMC.
All right, thank you.
Priority for this year.
Yeah, thank you, Luke. And again, like Jonathan said, our priority is making sure everyone on this call can achieve their priorities. Sunny, you mentioned you had 40 machine learning initiatives coming up. Well, one of the biggest things that we've been working with our clients on is about how do we make sure that those machine learning initiatives will be successful. There's a lot of stats that a lot of them unfortunately fail, and many times it's because of the data. So we've been taking a strong look at data ops. We have a market-leading orchestration automation solution, and we want to expand that to make sure that the data pipelines can be monitored and managed in a way that those machine learning initiatives will not just be successful when created, but will remain successful. And we're expanding this pretty far out into the edge. When you take a look at some of the edge technologies out there, you might think of an Amazon warehouse, or at least I do. But what about operational technology? The F-35 is not a plane, it's a computer with wings. I remember the first time I got on a Striker, all the technology allowed me to shoot, move, and communicate. Those are the types of data that we can start building into these pipelines that allow us to really achieve our end state goals that we're trying to achieve with our data initiatives. So that's a big area where BMC wants to make sure that we're your partner and ally in your future initiatives.
Really do appreciate that. And I really do appreciate everyone taking their time out of their busy schedules and for everything that you do, fighting the good fight, keeping this country safe, focusing on the whole of government and focusing on the people that are supporting all these various areas. So I really do appreciate that. I'd like to thank our sponsors here for supporting us on this show. And I'd like to thank the good people here at Federal News Network that make our program so successful and enjoyable. And most of all, I'd like to thank you, the listening audience that tune in every month. You're listening to the Federal Executive Forum on Federal News Network.